right, Chess Smith, welcome back. It's the grid. It's March 14th,
What
2025.
what a day to be alive.
That just spurred a thought. Isn't St. Patrick's Day coming up?
I do believe the daughter just looked it up, and I think it might be the 24th,
Okay, 17th. It's Monday.
17th Monday.
I just looked it up.
Okay, sweet. Well, PSA. Are you a pincher?
I don't know what that means.
I
Oh,
mean,
pinch if they don't have green.
yeah. Or do you walk around and give little pinches, little pinchy pinch?
Definitely not. No, I can't even remember the last time I thought about pinching somebody.
So what? That's not the first thing that pops into your mind when you hear of Patrick's Day is give a little pinchy pinch, give a little unsolicited nip.
The first thing that comes to mind is corned beef and cabbage.
Ooh, where does green beer fall on the things that come to mind?
Low.
Where does Ferris Bueller's Day off? Was that
That doesn't register at all.
was that St. Patty's Day? Was it a St. Patrick's Day parade in Chicago?
Sounds about right. I haven't seen that movie in a long time.
Huh. So green beer, so Chicago dyeing its river or whatever, green, that doesn't come to mind.
Mm, no, I think of pubs and food and Guinness, but like
Okay.
pub food. I just need a meal to celebrate. I don't need to spend the whole day. I don't need to go drinking at 6 a.m. I just need one meal to acknowledge the Irish. But look, it's not my family. It's not my culture. So I'm just paying homage. I'm not living it.
Do you know for a fact it's not your family and not your culture? Have you 23'd and mead?
Great question. I don't know for a fact.
Yeah, might be. You might have some sneaky little Irish in there.
Yeah, that's true. All right. Well,
Uh,
this pinching and this Irish relates to a later segment of today's show, a
it
Don't Say
sure
Gay
does.
submission.
Perfect. Real quick. Will you or will wife dress young Austin in green? Like, will Austin go all out whether he wants to or not? Off to
I,
school. It's Monday, so it's a school day.
yeah, I think he will. His school takes any chance they can to do those types of festive things. So there will be an email that goes out probably today telling us to bring him in green on Monday.
Perfect.
Yeah. Well, good news for listeners who aren't sick of hearing our voices yet, but we're launching Patreon today, right now.
That is epic, David Lee Scales. What a move. What a move. Maybe 8 years too late.
Seriously. So my emails runneth over. My emails, my DMs. I mean, I've referenced it before, but I have notes, the Notes app with show notes for future shows that just emails come through and I'm like, this is great, but it's not going to fit in this week. I'll put it in maybe next week. Next week comes and goes. I have folders on my computer with audio files from listener calls that came in that just didn't fit, but they're all worthy. And so the reality of it is that we can't fit it all into a weekly show. We need more. We need more
Yeah,
airtime.
we do. That's the one thing that we need is more airtime. How do people subscribe or find the Patreon?
Great question. Patreon.com/extra fine grit, I believe. Oh no,
Okay.
no, it's the Grit Surf Pod.
Okay. The Grit Surf Pod.
Yeah, so patreon.com, the grit / the grit surf pod.
Okay. Great.
But it is extra fine grit. 220 count, maybe 440 count.
Oh, that extra fine. Have you ever got the grit that was too extra fine where you thought, uh-oh, I'm just rubbing a piece of printer paper on what I'm supposed to be sanding right now?
Yeah, and this is going to reveal how little you and I know about or how ill-equipped we
Unhandy?
are to fix anything around the house
Yep.
because something needed to get sanded at one point and you're like, okay, so you go to the store and you get sandpaper and you come home and you're like, yep, this was not the correct sandpaper and
Yeah.
my elbow is tired.
Man, I there's sandpaper is a minefield of because you go too much grit and all of a sudden you ripped everything off down to the bones. You go too fine and you're just sitting there with, yeah, a piece of notebook paper, just rubbing it endlessly.
Exactly. So if you want to get bonus content, this will be the extra fine grit that polishes to a high gloss, a mirror surface, where you can then listen to Chaz and I and then look at yourself and have more clarity on your life.
On every part of it too. We will pull no punches in the extra fine grit.
That's the thing. Doesn't make the cut for the public feed, goes in extra fine grit. But also, it's really dedicated to you, the listener. We really want to incorporate, we want it to be a hub for the community, essentially. Because right now, the way it exists is I get these DMs and these emails. Yes, some of them make it to the show, which then becomes fodder and then gets feedback. But let's have it all public. Like, can we just put that all? And then also, sometimes comments come in on Instagram posts, and then other comments go on YouTube. This will create a hub to where all of that conversation can exist in one spot. And really, I feel like I would like to take a step back as the quote host of the show and let's incorporate listeners, these longtime listeners whose names you know, um, DJ Seaweed, whomever, can now be guests on the show and they can kind of be the interview subject or the focus of the conversation. Today, we're having James from San Diego join us, who's been a longtime contributor to the show. So he's going to join us, and you and I can kind of get out of the way.
Fantastic. Love to
Yeah.
hear it.
Yeah. So join us, Patreon. We're excited. Uh, in major surf news this week, Chaz, Julian Wilson announces his return to professional competitive surfing.
So this is weird though, right? Because where I got confused by all of this. For the listener who didn't see, the WSL posted a cryptic message about somebody coming back, somebody, saying they are returning to whatever, Challenger Series, blah, 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 blah. Make it back. Uh, but then somebody pointed me over to Julian Wilson's Instagram feed, and it seemed like he had posted that like a year or more ago, correct?
Well, yeah, it wasn't a year ago, I don't think, but yes, he had posted it a long time ago.
A long time ago. And then the World Surf League just posted it because then I was thinking, well, wait, was this a post that was like these days with the pinning of posts and all that, it can get confusing out there. But I went and looked back and nope, that was World Surf League had just posted that. So what happened? Did World Surf League just realize that like months and months later that Julian Wilson was attempting to come back?
Yes, kind of. I think that Julian Wilson made a public announcement that like that's where his headspace was at and that he was planning to do and maybe mapping out the travel and how to, do family and work in addition to the travel, that sort of stuff. But then the WSL officially gave him wild cards into the CS. So his initial ambition, he would have to go out on the QS, earn enough points to then qualify for the Challenger Series. And I think the WSL made a decision and then announced that decision this week that you don't have to go through all that lower tier stuff. You can just have wild cards into the Challenger Series and then almost a fast track onto the CT.
Man, I can't imagine. I mean, I can imagine things bleaker than that. But not that many. I
Okay.
mean, yeah,
So you have low hopes for Julian requalifying for the tour.
not just low hopes, but why do that to yourself? Like this tour that we have today is not the same tour that Julian was on. I feel it's a lot less interesting for one. And, I guess Jordy's still there. Like he has still contemporaries on tour, but I don't know, the joy seems out of the tour. It seems mechanical and he's like Julian's no way, no how gonna go be able to beat, I don't know, young up and comers there. But who even is the young up and comers? I'm feeling pretty bearish on the World Surf League Championship League Tour.
Jackson Bunch.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he could go out and beat Jackson Bunch, but like, who cares? It feels like you left, right? You retired. You did the appropriate thing and you stepped away at the right time. Pro surfing went off in a different direction that, again, I feel, how often do you, and I'm not just trying to be a grouchy dude here, how often do you talk to people who are like excited about the product, who are like not just exhausted about the idea of professional surfing, who can kind of get excited if there's going to be a good day at a good spot, like, oh, pipeline's pumping, let's all get together. But I feel that excitement and energy fizzles really quick. And the thought of, looking down the barrel of Super Tubos coming up tomorrow, I guess, or whenever they run,
16 hours.
I have zero even remote, like, oh, that's a little something to look forward to tomorrow. No, it's like something to dread tomorrow. And so for Julian, I can't imagine getting off tour, walking away, started a brand. Presumably, Julian lived through the salad years of professional surfing. Julian made as
Totally.
much or more money than anyone in the history of surfing has ever made. That money is not to be made again. That money is not there again. If you want to get on tour to promote Rivia, is it Rivia?
Yeah,
Rivian. Rivia.
via projects.
Yeah, it's really a lot too close to Rivian,
It is.
Julian. It's a big mistake. But if your goal was to promote Rivia, why not just put the money that it would cost to do all that tour and make a great campaign and promote it that way, right? If the purpose is because you just missed competitive surfing that much, well then man, go take a hard look in the mirror and say, yeah, I'm finished. It's over.
So I've got the opposite take on this one. Um, I think that it is just competitive surfing that is driving his ambition. I think he's had a couple of years off. He's still spry, and he's like, man, I got too much energy. I'm watching the tour. I surf as good as those guys. He posted a video last year called Surf Rehab, and it was a commercial for Rivia. But his surfing in that is phenomenal. Like it
Yeah.
is every bit as good. I mean, I would rather watch him than almost anybody on tour. So I think that he is still a threat to even Felipe Toledo and Ethan Ewing and all of those guys if he made it back onto the CT.
But wouldn't you rather, and let's be quite frank, it is not cheap to travel around the World Surfing Challenger Series events. And you're not, I mean, you're traveling around, you're spending money. It's cheap. I mean, it's not cheap. Wouldn't you rather Julian Wilson throw that money into a video series where all of a sudden he's traveling around the world, doing surfing different waves that suit him that are awesome for Rivia and just marketing expense it up?
So he's done that and he can do that again. I think there's only a certain time in your life when you can win a world title, and Julian Wilson has not achieved that goal yet, and that is his ambition. He wants to win a world title. Now he has less opportunity to do that the older he gets. Now's the time. So it's an investment. You're right. It's going to cost you money, but how do you net or how do you gauge the return on that investment? I mean, it's infinite if you can win a world title for what that could do for Rivia and his personal brand.
I would disagree there and say a world title today is worth about half as much as a world title was worth 10 years ago.
Absolutely. Yeah. A quarter as much, but it's still worth the $200,000 it'll cost him to travel the world this year on the CS and then next year on the CT to get that title potentially. Now, will he win a world title? It's a different question.
Yeah, but I mean, and let's assume that he does, just for sake of argument here. I would still say it's not worth it. Like you get like his hometown newspaper will have him up, his hometown Queensland newspaper, local boy done good. That's basically what it's worth.
He comes from an era where it was the ultimate, and I think that's his mentality, and he
That's the thing.
still wants to check that box.
He's got to look at what the product is today, what the reality is today, and think, this is not the tour that I left.
Well, I'm here for it because, like I said, I just want to watch him surf. Like, I think his melding of style and technical surfing. Like he certainly has power and all the foundational stuff, that's unquestioned. But the technical stuff that he does, he's doing insane airs and even varials and like techie style of airs with a incredible amount of style. Like I think it's better than anybody else. I've never seen anybody else do it.
I mean, in terms of a storyline to kind of maybe buoy the flagging depression of this season, yeah, like I'm here for that, right? It's something at least
Yeah,
to
totally.
think about that is not, I don't know, Thomas Herdy. Who else is, I
Yeah.
mean,
That's a combination of two people, but yes.
yeah, that. I mean, that's what the tour is for me now. And I like legitimately, I still check every day, right? It's not like I've given up and am saying, oh, this is crap now. Like I actively try to engage with it every day, and it is exhausting. It's exhausting because when you realize when a sports league loses top tier talent, it's just really hard to maintain interest. When you lose John Florence and Gabriel Medina in the same swing,
And Carissa Moore and Stephanie Gilmore,
it's
Kelly
it's
Slater.
I mean, literally, if yeah, it's like, would people still be interested in the NFL if percentage wise, the same percentage of top stars left, right? And or NBA or whatever. And I think people don't. I think it's like, yeah, this is like a sub tier kind of thing now. This is like the junior league. So it's kind of cool
which may also be part of the reason why Julian's coming back now, is he
because he
sees a
could,
gap.
yeah, I mean, but I would imagine too, the gap that he's seeing is that John is never going to return. I mean, I know John says he's taking a year off to do this stuff, and then, but what are the odds? What are the chances that John Florence, after his year off, says, you know what? What I really missed is the World Surf League Championship Tour.
Or what I really missed was sitting for 2 weeks in a location in a beach break and ultimately running 2 or 3 days, surfing a grand total of 2 hours of heats in the course of that 2 weeks.
I mean,
Like, it's a waste of time.
waste of time. And once again, like we've been banging this drum for years upon years upon years upon years. But I don't know how the World Surf League doesn't look at the product that it has right now and say, look at fat, bloated. We saw natural selection, what they did. Let's beat natural selection to the punch and do a better version of that where it'll be a slam series, 5 waves, moving window kind of for when each one is pumping, invite contest, best in the world, best in class, no more exhaustion, no more of this, no more of waiting, periods and windows and all this crap.
Julian could win that event.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Invite.
So can you, given your apathy, I'm curious if you can guess where the CS events are in 2025.
Challenger series. I'm gonna say because Snapper's on tour now, and so it can't be Snapper, but
It's not
there's one in Brazil for sure.
Sakurama.
Sakurama. There's probably a how is there Newcastle?
That's the first,
I
and
was
then Brazil's the last.
I was
So
trying to
there's
think of what else in Australia, since the CT is basically in Australia everywhere all the time. Okay, so Newcastle, Sakurama, and France,
no,
Huntington Beach.
that's 3 out of 5.
Yeah. And then uh is there nothing in Europe?
There's something in Europe.
Portugal again?
Yep.
What?
Ericeira,
Oh, Sarah. And then is there Morocco or somewhere it's spicy?
Bolito, South Africa.
Oh, see,
Pretty
like
good. You did pretty
it's
good.
it's so yeah, I did pretty good.
I was shocked.
That's an like imagine Huntington Beach though. Surfing Huntington, you gotta surf the US Open. Oh, I mean, all of that. Is any one of those inspiring to you? Sure, in its each of their day, it's
Well,
fine enough.
I think Julian's from Newcastle, so that's his hometown advantage. He could win Bolita. The thing is, with the Challenger Series, all you got to
He's
do
from
is really win.
Kaloon, I think Julian Wilson is.
Oh, okay. Well, you only have to win one event. I mean, if you win one event on the Challenger Series, you're incredibly well positioned to qualify, and then you could just kind of show up at the other events. So I think that he could win Bolito, he could win Ericeira, he could, do well at the other events. So I don't know. He's got a shot. I'm rooting for him. I want to see him back. I think it adds some fodder. It's been done before. The Aki story coming back after time off. There's other versions too. I mean, Sonny Garcia won late in his career, so I'm here for it. The fact that he's bald now, I think bodes well. There's a lot of bald world champs out there.
It's
Kelly's got a
true.
lot.
How many
Mainly Kelly.
how many years say that Julian gets really close this year on the CS? Uh, how many cracks does he give it on the Challenger Series?
He gets 1 year. That's all I'm giving him. If he doesn't crack it this year, he needs to go back home.
Do you think the World Surf League would cough up wild cards for a second year?
Yeah, why not?
They
Those,
because
I mean, are
how many?
those really? I don't know that those are really hotly contended wild cards.
I mean, how many surfers are in those events again? Isn't it like 140? What's the draw for the Challenger Series?
Great question. Don't know.
I mean, it's definitely way bigger than the CT, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna say 64. Like,
64.
yeah, like
Is
a QS is probably 140, but CS maybe 64. Cut it in half.
64. I
Let
mean,
me. I'm pulling it up right now. I'll see if I can find it quickly.
you would just have to be walking into one of those rooms with like the reek of dashed hopes of I spent my life becoming a pro surfer, and pro surfing has left any like money behind. Like Quicksilver and Roxy are debuting a line of dolls for Target now.
Are
That's
they
what,
really?
yeah, doll action extreme sport dolls. Roxy's doing that. Quicksilver's doing the classic bath mats, umbrellas, pool toys, etc. But that's
Amazing.
what, that's what the surf industry is. And the Julian Wilson's day, do you imagine how much money Julian Wilson made from Hurley? Julian Wilson is a millionaire from Hurley.
Yeah. Yeah.
Doesn't exist for those CS kids these days.
Yeah. Well, I'm banking on him revitalizing all of it, bringing it
The
all
surf.
back. Well, in related news, and the article that clocked the most comments on Beach Grit this week, quote, surf fans thrill at possible Bruce Irons tour return after World Surf League posts cryptic message, end quote. Are you rooting for any version of a Bruce comeback?
Uh, no.
Man, not only are you down on the WSL, but you're down on the heroes of our past.
I mean, I would like to see, I still like to see Bruce surf at like again here, just doing the World Surf League's job for it. If the World Surf League does their slam thing, right? And then they at these slams at Cloudbreak, Pipe, Chopu, best waves in the world, they also have a Masters division. All down for seeing Bruce there. I would love to see Bruce go against, you know, to Parco or whoever the old dogs are. Like throw in like 4 rounds of Masters.
The problem, those are always hit and miss because what ends up happening is some of those masters really didn't age well. They
Yeah.
didn't take care of themselves. They haven't been surfing that much. And then, you got a couple that you do want to see still, and they end up ripping. But Bruce is, burn me once, shame on you. Burn me twice, shame on me kind of a situation where Bruce got a few wild cards. And this was already 8 years ago, where he'd get a couple wild cards into the Pipe Masters and then he just would not be the old Bruce. And it's
Yeah.
like, first time you go, okay, well, he didn't catch any waves. That's not, maybe that's the ocean's fault. And then the second time you watch him and you're like, wow, okay, this is getting sad. And then you see him, he posts a story on Instagram randomly. And you're like, is he hanging out in Compton? Like, what is happening? And then the story disappears, like he deletes it, and you're like, oh, yeah, that was a peek behind the curtain I probably shouldn't have gotten. And so when he posts a photo this week of a surfboard, no offense, I don't even know who the shaper was. He's like, I'm so psyched to get a new board. And I'm like, who is that? Like, I know a lot about surfboards. I can't even identify that lamb. Um, it's getting sad. There's a part in my heart that wants it. Bruce Irons is arguably the greatest, certainly one of the greatest surfers of our generation, like unbelievable. And so I am always rooting for the comeback. And just for selfish reasons, I want to see Bruce surf like Bruce, like we need more of it. Um, but I've also I'm a scorned lover who's not going to necessarily go back to that.
Who uh thinking back about Julian and Bruce were probably overlapped on tour at some point, right? They would have been on at the same time
Might have
for a
been
minute,
it would have been
maybe.
close.
Yeah, but thinking back in those days, right? The amount of personality on tour, uh, where that's why it was fun to follow, pro surfing
Of
back then,
course.
because you could have your guy, right? Or the person who's, you like the brash guy, you like the pretty boy, you like the, whatever, the hardworking, whatever, blue collar surfer, you like the full on drunk, you like the, whatever, you like the Kelly Slater. There was so much personality. Who can you name even archetypes of personality on today's tour? You got, I mean,
I
as an
can.
archetype, you can
I
name
will give you.
yeah, the homeschool San Clemente kid is one, and that fills up like a whole bucket full of them. Brazilian, that's another one that fills up a whole nother bucket. What else? What other archetype you got?
Um, Fan of self-help public speaker.
Wow.
Ice bath user.
Yeah. I mean that, but that's I'm gonna throw that
I
all
mean, they're
in.
all the point is they're embarrassing now.
Yeah, but they're
Like,
all one of the same because the
yeah, that's true.
self-help listener ice bath taker is also the homeschool San Clemente kid, right? Like where I mean there is like
We
the
don't even have a
archetypes you have.
Bogan.
There's nothing. There's nothing. There's like the Australians are even, I mean, Ryan Callanan saw he broke his leg or whatever and is out. Love Ryan Callanan. I've always loved Ryan Callanan. Ryan Callanan's you don't love Ryan Callanan for his rock and roll personality though. I mean, he just seems like a good dude. He is a good dude, well, when I've had the privilege of chatting with him, but yeah, like there's no Australian flavor. Nothing.
We don't
Like
even
look
have
at
an
these.
angry Hawaiian.
No, nothing. No, nothing. The
Times are bleak.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I wake up and I think about Julian Wilson hopping back into where does he fit? He like Julian Wilson back on tour today would be the biggest personality. He and Jordy. It'd be like old school. So, did you watch any of that? See, look at me, even following along. Did you watch Habibi TV? Stace
No,
Galbraith's
no, 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 no. I did not.
so I saw that the other day for the first time. I was like, Habibi TV? They did like a behind the scenes thing at Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
And I watched an episode and a half. I think they're 10 minutes each. Stace is walking around with a camel as a microphone, right? Like, or stuffed a, it's like so stupidly gimmicky, Orientalist bullshit. The whole thing is embarrassing. He's interviewing surfers who look completely flat and embarrassing, like all of it. And it's not just embarrassing because it's at Surf Abu Dhabi. It would have been that same feel if it was at Pipe or whatever. Like people like kind of giggle and say dumb stuff. Like there's just no intelligence. It's just awful. It's awful.
So, they totally knocked off Baguette TV. So Jeremy Flores hosts the Quicksilver Festival in Hossegor, and they stuffed the microphone in a baguette and they call it
Yeah.
Baguette TV. But it's totally it's very entertaining and it's totally irreverent because it can be. So the WSL tried to do a sterilized version of that, and I did see that they advertised it, got fed to me on YouTube. I didn't even click. I was like, I already know 5 seconds in, it's going to be wasted 5 seconds. I cannot click on this. And I like Stace Galbraith, and
Yeah, I
he
like
actually he hosted the one in France as well. So I think they just said like, "Hey, you're the guy for the job. Let's recreate this and do it with the WSL." But don't say don't say gay. Don't say X, Y, and Z. Just do it. Do a sanitized version. It'll be amazing. And of course, it isn't.
but also, I mean, and I like Stace too, right? That's the problem. Is like I've never met Stace, but seems like or maybe I have, but seems like a good guy and like like his shtick. He's very comfortable with all the surfers, which is necessary, right? They let him in and say what. But I'm just saying, back to the archetypes on tour. There's nobody interesting to talk to.
Right, right,
There's
right, right.
like even if they said, "Hey, Stace, go crazy. We want this thing to push buttons. We want this thing to be to show that the World Surf League is not about the wall of positive noise. That we're edgy now." You couldn't get. I mean, dumbass Felipe Toledo shows up in the start of episode 2, and this is where I turned off. By the way, I watched these on YouTube. I think they've been up for 3 or 4 weeks, or whenever the stupid Surf Abu Dhabi was. Uh, they have well under 10,000 clicks each. I mean, our Surf Splendor videos, our grit videos on YouTube are challenging the Habibi TV for numbers. In any case, Felipe Toledo shows up in like the start of episode 2 in a Mercedes blacked out G-Wagon driving it, and it's just like his dumb giddy. It's just awful. It's like it's awful. It is an
Yeah.
awful pastiche.
Good. Well, I'm glad I didn't click.
I'm
Um,
glad I
well,
talked about it for 10 minutes.
while we're on the subject of personality and whatever, somebody DM'd us just last night from Cole Instagram or Cole Houshmand's Instagram. They posted Cole and let's see who else is in this photo.
Jet Shilling, I think.
Jet Schilling. Okay, some San Clemente kids posted a photo and have since deleted it in their stories posing with Andrew Tate.
and Tristan Tate.
Okay, I don't know who Tristan Tate is. Is
Tristan's
that a
his
brother?
brother.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the only thing that they wrote on it was G's, basically saying these guys are G's. Um, Initial thoughts.
Wow. I mean, it is shocking. It is shocking on multiple levels. Uh, I'll start with the first level. It's shocking to be that these guys are that stupid. That you like, what's his dude? Some like Vanderpump Rules, I don't know, reality star, right? Those boys must have been in Vegas. Yeah, I'm assuming.
Wait, what are you talking about? Vanderpump Rules?
Because so James Kennedy from Vanderpump Rules also like did the Tate photo and
Oh,
posted
okay.
it to
Okay.
Instagram and immediately had to delete, and I didn't know what they stood for and all this kind of crap. And then the whatever, Tate's both like he knew exactly what we stood for. He just sat there kissing our ass, asking for a photo for 30 minutes, blah 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 blah. Like,
Amazing.
yeah, obviously Cole Houshmand doesn't have the, a following like a whatever Bravo Liberty following. So
Yeah.
he'll be able to post, delete, and not catch heat. But what an idiot. What a blaming idiot.
That
I
can only be
almost
what
said a gay word.
that can only be that can only be the only answer, right? Is that he's an idiot and he doesn't know? Like he thinks Andrew Tate is a celebrity and I've heard of him before, and so let's go take a photo of him. But he
It,
clearly cannot have tracked Andrew Tate's long list of offenses and grievances against him. Otherwise, he would know not to post it on Instagram.
I don't know, the giddiness in his eye, like the giddiness in when you look at Cole Houshman's eyes, he's like giddy.
So, do you
So
think Cole Houshmand is an Andrew Tate acolyte?
yes, he's got to be.
You're
He's
right.
got
I'm
to be.
looking at his face right now. He seems pretty psyched.
It's more than just, oh, this kickboxer, right? This former kickboxer. How would you know? And how would you even be aware of Andrew Tate if you weren't an acolyte?
So, you know that photo that I keep on hand and post occasionally with a bunch of the WSL people post and Dirk Ziff, by the way, posing with Harvey Weinstein,
Yes.
literally 6 months before Weinstein got busted.
Yeah.
This is the new version of that.
This is worse because those guys, the World Surf League gang there, ostensibly, they heard rumors that whatever Harvey Weinstein was
But it
hard
was
nosed.
before he was outed.
Exactly. It'd be
Yeah.
like them posing with Harvey Weinstein after being outed,
And
like,
smiling
and
and being
giddy,
like, he's a
giddy.
G.
It's insane to me that Cole Houshman is this dumb. Like,
Cole.
it's a real problem. And Cole, part of me doesn't want to touch it because I don't want just to flame uh him. But part of me thinks you got to learn a lesson, son. Like, you do not do that. You do not do that. Especially, I mean, whether if Cole secretly is Andrew Tate acolyte, and okay, I'm gonna give him layers here. I'm gonna say maybe he is aware of Andrew Tate as oh, he's like a guy who's anti-woke and is about being a manly man, right? Maybe that's what, as far uh as far as
He's
Cole's,
thought it through.
as far as he's thought it through. Like, this is a guy who's standing up for dudes, right? Everybody got all, woke and all, they, them. And this is a guy who's like, I'm a man too. This is why he's a G, right? Like, and maybe but if that's as deep as you go on somebody, Cole Houshman, talking to you here, open a fucking book, kid. Like, my good, read something.
Or just read the article beyond the headline.
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
mean,
I don't think a book's been written about Tate yet. I get your point, but it's
I
like,
mean, don't read the book on Tate. Read a book about like
yeah,
life,
yeah,
about
yeah.
misogyny, and about like, I mean, Andrew Tate is a horrible, offensive human being, period. There is no like,
Who
yeah,
only has
he's,
gotten to his position of power because idiots like you
yeah.
like pumping him up.
I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, and so true. And that, like, a lot of people are, like, even what, let's say with, I don't know, JD Vance, you could be like, yeah, JD Vance is, kind of a butthole, but, I can see how this, and this, like, right. You can see even if you don't like him, even fervently, if you're fervently anti-MAGA, you could still, I think, make a case where, okay, I don't like Trump. for everything, except I can understand Trump's appeal here, 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 right? Or I agree with Trump here, 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 whatever, if you're going to be magnanimous, right? Andrew Tate, period. There is no Andrew Tate
Yeah.
is a butthole, but this. No, Andrew Tate is a human piece of garbage.
Yeah. So it has to be the way you opened the segment by saying, "What an idiot" for Cole Houshmand.
What an idiot.
It can only be what an idiot because
Yeah, but
dumb no
he
matter
must,
how you slice it.
I mean, really unfortunate. It's a real unfortunate, uh, and yeah, like
So
kids,
here's the
kids in
thing.
social media learn.
Yeah, but we want there to be personalities in surfing, right? And so you maybe you write an article on Beach Grip, maybe this conversation gets back to him. He's going to back off. He's going to be like, oh no, he already deleted the thing. Now he's going to go more sanitized for everything from here on out. He got shamed and he's going to go more sanitized and not share his actual views. So for you and I to get what we want, which is a personality and a rabble rouser, even better, he needs to double down. He needs to
Yeah.
post it again and be like, F women. Women are the
Gosh.
worst. They are my servants. Make me a sandwich. He needs to play that hand if for you and I to get what we want.
Now he's got no choice. Now he better. Like if you're out there posing with Andrew Tate and calling him a G and with a look at, I mean, again, look at his face. There is a look of ecstasy on Cole Houshmand's face.
He don't the cheetah hair better not be a lie.
Yeah.
Once you're dyeing your hair like Dennis Rodman, you have to play the part of Dennis Rodman. And then
Yep.
you go one further and post a photo with Tate. Wow, maybe you are Dennis Rodman. Oh
Yeah.
no, you deleted the photo and you actually have no idea what Tate stands for. You probably have no idea what that hair stands for either.
I mean,
You're a poser.
it's a real bummer. It's a real bummer. Cole, I didn't have much hope for Cole Houshmand ever. But maybe he could be the next something coming out of San Clemente. But now you're exactly right. He's just a poser.
I'm a fan of his surfing. Like that's
Yeah.
the thing. Like he's actually an incredible surfer, and he's over delivered on my expectations of his surfing. But now I'm in a quandary. Can I
I
support
hope
his surfing?
I hope that no, and not anymore. I hope that somebody really pulls him aside and say, you deserve, if something comes from this, you deserve it all because you are dumb and you
But then
cannot be that dumb.
I I I really have a hard time with that because that is cancel culture. That is you believe in something, it's different than what I believe. I hope you get shamed. I hope you go away. I hope your sponsors leave you. I'm never supporting your surfing again. Like,
It's one thing to be MAGA and to, get whatever, shamed for your politics. It's a little bit of another thing to post a giddy photo with an avowed woman hater, a publicly goes on the record to say it. And yeah, I don't want him canceled either, but he needs to get cuffed in the ear.
well, yeah, but he also I think this is where he needs to decide what his beliefs are. And
Yeah.
if those are his beliefs, by all means,
Yeah.
double down and let us
Yeah.
know. Like you
And if
just you gave us a peek. You want to continue? Like share the conversation.
And if you're not, and you didn't know, and you were that dumb, then give the standard, carbon copy. Uh, I had to do educate myself on who this guy was, and I didn't know, and I'm sorry.
So, you know how they say never meet your heroes?
Yeah, never meet Andrew Tate.
This podcast era or this like era that we're in of us talking about everything all the time and like people self-publishing their content, it's really tarnished my adoration for pro surfers, or for my pro surf heroes. The Bruce Irons example is a great one, but also this week, Black Bear Surf Club host Cheeseburger Nozaki posted a video interview with Chris Ward on the North
Ooh,
Shore.
uh-oh.
I was like, sweet, I want to watch it. And I read the comments on YouTube before I watched it, and they were all like, fantastic interview, great hearing Ward stories, blah, blah, blah. So I watched it, and it was freaking embarrassing, dude. Like,
What was Wardo just like mumbling
un
about random shit?
unintelligible,
Yeah,
unintelligible. Like the thing is, he's talking about really interesting things like his first times going to the North Shore and giving the backstory behind a lot of this footage that we saw of him when he was 16, shredding and charging and all that footage. Now he's telling you his experience, but he was unintelligible. It was like, these are very, very interesting stories that I am curious to hear. And people have left comments for you and I saying, I feel dumber after listening to you guys.
Yeah.
I finally understand what they're talking about. I felt dumber after watching it and listening.
Was it like, was Ward, did he seem like boozed or something, or was he
No,
just like, he just is not a
seems
good public
low,
speaker?
low, low IQ.
Yeah.
It's not even not a good public speaker. It's just low IQ. Like
Yeah.
I don't mean to be rude. That's a very rude thing to say, but that's the best way to kind of sum it up, if I'm
Yeah.
being honest. And it's like he's a phenomenal talent. And like I said, like with Bruce, I just want to watch him surf, but I'm grateful to be raised in an era where his handlers prevented him from doing interviews. And we
And
just
or
got to watch him surf.
yeah, and or there was not a platform for everything, everyone, all the time, right? Like
That's
when
it.
I mean, you would see Bruce Irons in a post-heat interview or whatever, but that's not enough. Everybody sounds whatever there, right? And then you see the Bruce movie, which was, it was awesome, right? But that's a created, crafted, curated by director and filmmaker who wasn't Bruce, and so they can tell intelligible story. And same with the Ward video stuff. It was in somebody else's hands. It wasn't his in his hands. But now in this open democratic, everyone has a platform all the time. People shouldn't have platforms.
Yeah. What's our ethical obligation to ourselves and to our listeners about publishing this photo of Cole since it's been deleted? And we have it.
Yeah,
We
well,
publish or not?
I gotta, we should we, how do we get to the bottom of this? Because I mean, I saw it just right before coming on air today, right? So I haven't had much time to process it. Did it get sent through last night?
I think I woke up to it this morning. So yeah.
Okay. So,
I mean, I'm
because
okay publishing it on surfsplendorpodcast.com if you want to drive traffic that way.
yeah, I mean, part of it, like I'm of two minds, right? Because part of it really makes me think you are dumb. You are absolutely dumb for doing this. You did this publicly and socially. I am a we are media outlets. It is our duty to post this, right? To
Yeah.
repost it.
Why not?
Yeah, I guess that's where I'm at. Like, you're dumb, Cole. And I don't want Cole to get canceled, but I do want him to have to deal with the decision he made. If I posted a photo with me and some rapist somewhere, all giddy, I would, and hope that somebody would whack me upside the head.
Yeah. Well, okay. I'll post it. Vayer, Vayer, tools to live by. Don't post photos of somebody who has pending lawsuits for keeping women hostage.
Yeah.
That is your first Vayer tool to live by today.
Who also, and let's be quite frank, when Tate went to Florida, Tate was like, sweet, going to Florida. Ron DeSantis. I don't know that Ron DeSantis would be considered a woke bro. Ron DeSantis basically said, "You are not welcome here," and like sicked the Florida authorities on him. So
That's
now
funny.
there's
I
a,
didn't know that.
yeah, like even Ron DeSantis, if you're too like bad for Ron DeSantis, then you're probably too bad.
Well, we have another tool that you guys can live by. Audience, VayerWatches.com/surf splendor if you want to get 15% off your beautiful timepiece. Go there and do that. But listener emailed and said, David and Chaz, I'm with you on most of your tools to live by and Barrel or Nas. However, on this one, I'm glad I did not take your advice. A while back, a listener called in asking about what he should do with his surf magazine collection as it became a burden moving from place to place, heavy, dirty, taking up a lot of space. Your answer that day, trash them. Nothing noting that lugging these boxes around is an unnecessary burden and nostalgia is a mental illness. I've been in a similar situation for years now. I have a huge collection of surf magazines back from when I was in high school until their inevitable death around 2002 to 2014. Trans World Surf, Surfer, Surfing being the big three. 432 issues to be exact, having been or have been sitting in my garage for years. I'm not a hoarder, even though through this story, by definition, contradicts that. I just never was able to bring myself to get rid of them. Anyway, last weekend I finally decided to buy a cheap IKEA bookshelf and just get them on some shelves. It was hours long process of heavy lifting, going to storage area, separating them by their magazine title, putting them in chronological order. And the outcome, I couldn't be more stoked about it. On a daily basis, I'm grabbing a mag from a random year, giving it a read, and I even have some of my dad's mags from the late 80s and early 90s on there. So some quick things that I noticed, and feel free to disagree or agree. Number one, surfing was the premier magazine. The covers, the stories, the overall girth of each issue was vastly superior to the others. Number two, 2007 through and 2008 were the height of surf mags. Number of ads, thickness of each issue, the budget towards quote travel issue kind of content drastically declined after 2008. Number three, someone wrote a Yemen issue in 2009. Chaz's Yemen stories are way better. Love you guys and all the advice you dish out. However, in this case, I'm glad I did not listen. P.S. The collection still is growing as I'm now a Surfer's Journal subscriber, have bought several Surfing World issues from you, David, and even have Longboarder magazine shipped over from the UK via 10 years over Surf Shop. I guess that's the name of the surf shop. Work, Nathan R.
So Nathan R, thank you for correcting the record here. Uh, and I would say this is something that I didn't even consider, but I'm glad that David R considered it and did it for us.
Nathan R.
Nathan R, sorry, Nathan R. If your surf magazines are in boxes in the garage, throw them. You have two options. You throw them away, or you do what Nathan R did and make a library, a surf magazine library in your home.
So, um, I'm actually in the same exact position. I have those. I did not take our own advice, and I'm glad I did not as well, because interestingly, I bought bookshelves this week. So I read this email. I'm like, dude, he and I are on the same exact trajectory. I think I'm a little older than he is, but I'm getting those things out of the garage finally after lugging them around. But interestingly, I don't think I would have appreciated them. I needed like 20 years in
Of
between.
separation.
Now they're relics. They weren't
How
relics 10 years in.
how many magazines you reckon you have?
Probably less than him, maybe 200.
Okay, I'm
I mean,
thinking
I
of
should
my
count
book.
them. I'm curious.
I'm thinking of my bookshelf here. I probably have probably 75 to 100 on the shelf, but they're all magazines that I have work in.
Oh, okay. See, that's the thing is I owned way more at some point, but I was cutting them apart and pasting them or taping them to my wall in high school. So like the
Yeah.
first 8 years of magazines probably didn't make it.
Yeah. I mean, there was a lot of cutting back in those days.
Totally. So the other thing I think about is he sent me photos of his collection. They look good. In a
Yeah.
bookshelf, magazines, I mean, dare I say, look better than books? Or maybe you're just more inclined to grab them than you are books. Books you read once, you put it on the shelf, and most you don't read again. But when I was a kid, my grandparents had decades of Nat Geo. And it was such a cool visual thing, just like lined up, and they were all chronological. And I would actually, as a kid, pull them out and learn a little bit about Africa.
I think because magazines are more uniform, like books are all different shapes, sizes, widths, everything. And I know there is difference in magazines too, but I think it's not as different. And so visually, they make a better presentation when upon shelf.
Well, I'm going to have them here in the background next week if I get that bookshelf built.
Exciting times.
I'll just pull them out and I'll thumb through a couple of photos. Look, we could do a game here where here's a photo. Let's
Which
discuss.
year? He is right about the surfing. I think the at least for the American magazines, right? Like I think the what conventional belief would be that surfer was always the gold standard and surfing was its jerky little brother. But surfing was, I think, a better magazine through most of at least the like mid 2000s till the end.
Well, yes, but they were specifically focused on a style of surfing. It was high performance surfing, and
Yeah.
that went with splashy graphics and all that sort of stuff. And that's the surfing that was reigning supreme at that time. So they were better. They were just doing a great job at that. Where surfer, I think, was always trying to be the Bible of surfing and covering a little bit of everything for everyone. And so it didn't necessarily hit as hard, you know?
Wasn't as spicy.
No. But I also, this fits in perfectly with today's conversation just about personalities because those magazines are chock full of so many personalities. Some were just a blip on the radar, you know, like a Chris Davidson or whatever is kind of like he was here for a moment in time, but didn't necessarily last. But it made me also think that something is absolutely missing with magazines being gone. And obviously, there are still a couple of magazines in existence, but that heyday, and the reason why it's important to keep them is it gives you a cultural touchstone of the time and place. Right now, we're really just relying on Matt Warshaw.
Yeah.
Like he's got a heavy weight on his shoulders. If we want information, there's one repository to go and get it from. But being able to kind of access these magazines and have like a definitive kind of timeline of what was going on in this era, I think is incredibly valuable because there's a glut of content now and there's no moderation of that content. And so things, I don't know, it's all messy now.
Yeah. Messy. And yeah, I mean, again, the obviously pendulum swings and grass is always greener and blah, 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 blah. But the idea of having a gatekeeper for, hey, we're going to having a Pete Terrace as a photo editor, pouring through thousands upon thousands of photos and saying, this is the best in class. There's his trained eye, his expert opinion. And then that goes in the magazine, right? As opposed to me, untrained eye, non-expert opinion, getting just the deluge of Instagram surf photos where one, all of a sudden, the surf photo, the idea of the surf photo has been tainted because I've just seen too many.
Well, it's clear Eric Logan did not grow up in the Pete Terrace era when he thinks it's okay. He thinks his best way to ingratiate himself into the community that he is now the CEO of is to post a photo of himself squatting on a SUP, throwing a shaka on a 1 foot wave at Manhattan Beach Pier. He
Yeah.
thinks that qualifies him
As a
to like
surf photo.
ingratiate himself into the,
Yeah.
like
I'm
he
like
was,
you.
when he came along and started doing that, we were just like, how does he not know that you shouldn't be posting this? Like,
I
what is he
mean,
doing?
wild, but yeah, all to say though, like, yeah, so the fact that magazines were gatekeepers, right? There was editors, there was photographers, there was, especially when those people were on staff, right? I mean, those people were getting paid to do work that was valuable to the reader. And now, who needs that? We have everything. Everybody can be their own, person.
And
Yeah.
everybody cares what I have to say every moment
Yeah.
of the day. Yeah,
Yep.
that's the
Oof.
problem. All right. Well, hey, we do also have to give somebody else advice. Somebody's calling in. Let me check. Where is their call? Here it is. And he needs advice. There it is.
Hey, gentlemen, this is for the grit. Got another surf dilemma for you. I surf in Northern California where I'm in booties 100% of the year. And every time I take a surf trip to somewhere tropical, I feel like I'm sliding all over the place like a kook. Being barefoot feels totally foreign to me. I surf worse. So I'm wondering if surfers north of Half Moon Bay can get a pass on the reef booties thing in tropical climates. Have the added benefit of foot protection, but mainly it's to prevent sliding around like a kook. Thank you and work.
I know you have an opinion on this.
I'm going to go ahead and say yes. I'm going to say if you surf in such cold water that you're in booties year round, then nobody can say nothing to you. You are the lumberjack of the seas. You do as you wish, good man.
Wow. Didn't see you
Right?
going there. I'm going the opposite because this was crystal clear. It's like a vision to me. What are the five S's of surfing? The very first of the five S's of surfing, style. Okay. So imagine the aforementioned Tom Curran cutback photo. And now imagine if he had reef booties in that image.
Shocking.
It never would have been published.
No.
It does not look good. Uh, like Imagine Michael Jordan wearing one of those little kids' hats that has the propeller on top. And he's like, sorry, I get a little bit extra lift. You never would have an iconic shoe with an image of that silhouette because it just doesn't look right with a propeller on top. So there is no version where the reef booty is acceptable because it's simply imagine doing the craziest turn ever. Look at the image. He's got reef booties on. No,
Going back to our just had conversation, there's never going to be any photos of our dear friend likely surfing anywhere. So the fact that I get it to hold to an ideal, right? We should all hold or have an ideal. But he knows he's never going to cut back like Tom Curran. He just wants to go catch a couple waves and not slip and slide around on his board since his feet while surfing are basically foreign objects to him. Now, I will say that this, I'm going to say you get 5 days. You get 1 week. You get 7 days. So if your tropical vacation, surf vacation is going to last longer than a week, then you got to acclimate yourself. That's too long.
no days. Here's the deal. My hands are too sensitive to go out and do any work. So instead, I'm going to put Vaseline in my gloves and keep them gloved at all times. No, this is surfing. If you can't ride a surfboard with bare feet, what's even going on? You've given up on life. Like, learn how to do it. Bring some wax, put it in your pocket, throw a wax comb in your pocket, comb it up, rough up the deck. Like, figure it out. Accepting your daintiness or your foible and just pandering to it is not the solution here. This is not a good idea.
I hear you. I hear you in general, except, and if this was a uh, soft, warm water surfer having some issue, then I would deeply shame. But if this man is literally in water so cold that he is surfing in booties year round, then I'm inclined to give him a pass for being a tough nut the rest of the year.
Okay. Guess what? Every other surfer on the planet has figured out how to surf with no booties on. So you can figure this one out too. Yeah, I can relate to him because during the wintertime I wear booties and then there's always a couple days when I take them off where I'm like, oh God, this feels way too slick. And then it goes away. You figure it out. I know you're going to waste a couple waves on your precious vacation. It's worth it in the end because it's just the way nature intended.
Well, and I will also say, I think David Lee, you have won me over, unfortunately, on this one. I wanted uh to have a cold water surfers back here, but there's this basically bubble gum called Foo Wax that you can also put on the deck of your board that is so melty and sticky and gross that it will destroy every possession you own in your life, but you won't slip on your board at all.
You won't. No, it'll be on your feet when you go back home to the Pacific Northwest, and
But
it'll
in your
be then
booties.
on the interior of your booties at that point. Now, interestingly, taking said booties off when you get to the lineup and then tucking them into your waistband of your board shorts and then getting stand-up tubes while flexing your six-pack like Tom Carroll is the ultimate G move.
I mean, my goodness, that is as current as it comes.
That I mean, that really does start to venture into kook and current territory,
Yeah,
where it's like reef booties, kook if you're wearing them while you're all standing on the surfboard. If they're tucked into your waistband, you got to be a
full on
current at
current.
that point. I've never seen an
Definitely.
intermediate do it. I've never seen a kook do it, but I've seen Tom Curran with a mohawk doing it, or Tom Carroll with a mohawk doing it.
Epic.
Um, you just can't wear them while surfing. Hate to tell
Yeah,
you.
sorry about it.
Sorry about it. One other email or listener call that I want to play for you because I think it's a PSA. It is phrased as a barrel or gnaw, but I am not going to play it in barrel or gnaw. Just use it as a PSA.
Hey, Chaz and David. Kevin from Ventura with a barrel or gnaw. Real quick, though, I want to thank you guys for creating so much great content. I spend a couple of hours a day in the car, and your podcast get me through the day. So best $5 I could spend a month. Back to the barrel or gnaw. So barrel or gnaw, traveling without travel insurance. I know when I go to Central America or pretty much any trip, I can pick up a policy for $60, $70. Air vac, the whole thing's included, so if anything goes south. So barrel or gnaw, travel insurance, even a bigger barrel or gnaw, just listened to the February 14th episode about the guys getting hurt in Hawaii, pro surfers not being let out of the state because they owe money. Barrel or not, if you're a pro surfer, not having travel insurance and having to rely on GoFundMe to pay your medical bills. Keep work.
I'm a big fan. I'm going to El Salvador in a couple of weeks, and yeah, I got a policy for $100. I think that covers the whole week, and gives you like, $50,000 or $100,000 in medical coverage plus the Helivac thing out if you get in a situation. It's a no-brainer.
Great PSA. And I do believe that, there's even, I can't remember what it's called now, spot insurance or something. There's even if you don't have like that, you can't get it through your own insurance policy. Say you don't have a great health insurance policy. There is specialty travel insurance plans out there that you can go get, and they're not expensive.
That's what I'm talking. That's what I got.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got it through Allegiant site or Allegiant maybe is the name of the company. And I've used them before. Thankfully, I've never had to actually use the travel insurance. I've never been hurt bad enough to use it, but it's a no-brainer. For $100, it's kind of like, don't take the risk. The story that he was talking about, that Emio Cermak story, he got injured again this year, but last year he got injured at Pipeline and he was traveling from, I guess, Tahiti, and did not have travel insurance, and then ended up in the hospital in Queens with a broken back. And the hospital, they were not going to let him fly out of the country without paying that hospital bill, and it was hundreds of thousands of dollars. And travel insurance would have, of course, saved the day there. So that's what he was referencing. Okay. Remember we asked for Don't Say Gay song jingles,
Yes,
potential jingles?
Do you remember?
Guess what? We got two. Do you want to listen to both and tell me which you would prefer?
Yes.
All right, here we go. This one's from James in NZ.
We're just being friendly, we're just having fun. But if we say the wrong things, we'll hurt everyone. So don't say gay.
I really like it. It's going to be hard to beat. I'm going to say right now.
Okay.
The NZ accent really does it right.
All right. Well, submission number 2 comes from DJ Seaweed himself. So James has a tough contender right here.
Don't say gay, don't say gay.
Don't say gay.
I think we need a song for Don't Say Gay. Da, 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 da.
There's so many gay songs out there.
Yeah.
Don't say gay.
Not gonna do it.
My God, you're gay.
I can't pick. We've got to put this to a public forum.
I got to go. My vote is DJ Seaweed.
I really like DJ Seaweeds, but the Kiwi accent really sets the other one apart.
I like it. I appreciate James and all of his contributions, but DJ Seaweed has an accent of his own that I've come to know and love.
Okay, if you feel strongly, then yeah, because I'm on the fence. So we'll go with DJC.
Yeah, I feel like it's just it's in line with all the other clips, all the other audio stuff that we play here or music. So I feel like it fits. DJ Seaweed, thank you. James, thank you.
Both, thank you. Do we have a don't say gay today?
We do, of course. DLS and Chaz, we really enjoyed the live show at the Belly Up. I was stoked to receive not only a Veyer watch, which has been serving me well, but also the Rusty Lowrider. This is the guy who won.
Yeah, double.
I know I've never won any sort of raffle before, so that night was extra special. Now, here's why I'm emailing. A while back, I was chatting with some friends and coworkers, and I told one of them to quit playing, quote, grab ass. This guy had no idea what I was talking about. And I was in disbelief, or he was in disbelief that this was even a phrase. This blew me away because I thought it was a common saying. I was in the Army for quite some time, and I heard it several times there. But I also heard it growing up from coaches and my dad and friends' dads who would just be messing with us. Now, last night I was telling my wife about the story above, and it got me thinking it might be a worthy Don't Say Gay submission. What do you think the origins of this phrase are? And is it even offensive? Is it homophobic? Is it misogynistic? Is it none of the above and just referring to children wrestling with each other? I have no idea. Personally, I think it's a hilarious classic and should stay. Keep it up, Micah.
Micah, thank you so much. Yeah, grab ass was like a solid for even like people who I remember getting like, hey, stop playing grab ass and get in line, whatever, from say a teacher or coach who never
Yeah,
swore.
yeah.
And you thought, whoa, like grab ass somehow was fully in the gray area for even people who were not, adamant, not bad language users would throw in a grab ass every now and again. Hey, stop playing grab ass, get back.
You'd even get a free pass as a kid. Like I
Yeah.
wasn't allowed to cuss. If I said grab ass, nobody would even think twice.
Yeah. Grab ass was its own thing.
It
The
became
now,
one word.
yeah, grab ass.
Yeah.
And okay, so what is do you think the definition of grab ass for you? Because first we needed to like, and I'm not saying
Horseplay.
original horseplay.
Horseplay.
Yeah, it's goofing off, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Specifically. So it's not, I think it goes beyond horseplay to, because horseplay I think could just be rough play, right? That can be fine in certain whatever. Grab ass was never fine, right? Grab ass was always you're supposed to be doing something other than goofing off right now, right? And grab ass, I think, obviously specifically goofing off physically. So I think it has a fairly narrow definition, right?
Yes.
Uh, but now to Micah's point, what is the etymology? What is the origin?
So I tried to look it up, and I had a funny epiphany while typing it into Google. It's hilarious when Google gets a little scared
Yeah.
and they stop autofilling what you're typing. Because I type GRA and it's like giving me all these suggestions. And then
Yeah.
I put grab and it gives me a couple suggestions. And then I type
Uh,
A. And all of a sudden, all the suggestions go away. And I type S and it's like, we got nothing for you. We're backing off. We're going to give you results, but we're not going to guess what your results are going to be. I was like, wow, Google, really? You're afraid of me right now.
Very funny.
Yeah, it really is. And so, anyways, I typed in grab ass and it gave all these definitions. It gave zero
Etymology.
etymology backstory of like this came from this thing.
So,
But from my understanding, or the way that I always processed it in my head, was kids running around pinching each other's butts. Like,
yeah,
haha, pinch, pinch.
but whoever did that?
I don't
Did you
know.
did you ever run around and pinch anyone's butt?
No. And if it would have been done to me, I would have been like, what is
Ye-
going on? Like, and that's why he says, is it homophobic? Because was it young boys who are interested in experimenting sexually and they were making that overture? That was their first overture or something like that.
I think I mean, okay, so I think there is definitely, I will say, homophobic overtones to it because when somebody says stop playing grab ass, nobody has ever once said, "Hey kids, go out on the field and play some grab ass," right? Like it was always you were getting busted. You were getting shamed for something.
Yeah.
You were getting shamed for goofing off, right? And so I think so they wanted to make the shame a little deeper by giving it a very light brush of homophobia.
Yep.
Because I don't
It's
think I
true.
don't think girls get busted for nobody has ever said to a bunch of girls, "Hey, stop playing grab ass and get serious." Playing grab ass is specifically for boys goofing off physically.
And boys maybe even doing it to girls, which makes it even more questionable. Like
But that's the
boys
thing.
grab ass, girls don't grab ass.
But I haven't heard it in mixed company context. I've only don't play grab ass to like generally being on a sports team, right? Like kids
Yeah, yeah.
soccer, when I was playing soccer or baseball or whatever, and everybody was getting a little rambunctious. How Micah seems like he's using it. How was he using it again? Was he using it to office workers?
He said he said it in front of friends and colleagues, and they had no idea what he was talking about. But I don't
Yeah,
know
so
if he said it
what his
because they
context
were
was.
playing. Yeah.
Because they were playing, friends and colleagues were playing grab a little game of grab ass. Yeah, I mean, I think there is a light brush of homophobia, but I don't think that brush is heavy enough to dismiss grab ass.
See, I'm inclined to dismiss it because I don't think it serves a purpose anymore. Like, there's other words that you can use that are equally as effective, and they don't, this calls to mind young boys grabbing each other's asses, which to me is just not something I want to call to mind. So I never use this phrase, almost probably because of that reason. If somebody uses it, I don't get offended and I totally know what they're talking about, but I don't need to perpetuate the idea.
Uh, huh. Like S-
We could be done with grabbing asses altogether, by the way. Like the action itself, we can be done with. I mean, unless it's your lover, you know what I mean? Like go nuts. But in general, it's unwanted. If it's not your lover, there's no version of grabbing an ass that is wanted. So done with the action, also done with the phrase personally.
Okay. Okay. My only ponderance is if we could elevate grab ass to include, use it more to include all kinds of like wasting time or something like that. If you, hey, stop sitting at your computer playing grab ass and get some work done.
So you're playing grab ass by yourself?
Yeah. Like if we could just like, yeah, elevate it, like make it cover more things.
If you can really cement this idea, if you can like grab your own ass while you're screwing around in the computer, and then yeah, I feel like that you have to even change the title of somehow, self ass grab, you know.
I mean, if you just think if you heard somebody in conversation say, man, I was bored the other night, just playing a little grab ass, scrolling through Netflix. If it was just a stand-in for goofing around, not being serious.
Yeah, but it already has a definition and that's not it. And I
Okay.
don't think we're changing the definition of it.
Okay. Okay. So it's banned. I never thought when this call started, I thought, oh, shit, this is guaranteed sticking around, but I guess not.
Well, I hate to like he likes it and he apparently wants to keep using it. So I hate to take that away from him because I in all other don't say gay segments, it's always been something that was almost directly offensive to a certain
Group
subject. Yeah.
or
Of the
possibly.
population. Yeah. This isn't really that offensive. It's just kind of pointless to me.
I mean, so not only is it not offensive, or where it's offensive is either a light brush of homophobia or a little wink to pedophile behavior.
Which is that is offensive, then I guess. Go
Yeah.
back on what I said.
I mean, but it's not really because I don't think there's ever been in context though. It's not pedophile behavior because there's no context where there's mixed company, adults and kids, and somebody steps in and said, "Oh, you guys playing grab ass out here, right?" It's
Right.
like nobody has ever, except maybe Andrew Tate, nobody has ever been in mixed company and had the grab ass thrown out
True.
in mixed age company. It's always say you could be high school together, fifth grade together, but it's always
Yeah.
same.
Yeah, it's now that I'm thinking about it, it's not even relevant to the pedophile conversation
No.
because they're not pinching butts. Oh, maybe that's how they start. I don't know. Actually, I have no expertise on this. I'm bowing out.
Yep. Well,
But
okay. I think better to cancel.
I think better to cancel. Sorry,
Okay.
Micah.
Yeah. Sorry.
I mean, this might be the first one we've canceled. I think most of them we generally argue to keep it.
Yeah. I mean, there's been a couple we canceled,
Okay.
but yeah, it's rare. But that's what makes the work so valuable is we're not out keeping everything. We're not like, this is why this is trusted information here. If we were okaying everything, then we would be, I think you could pigeonhole us as, okay, these guys are, the anti-woke, whatever crowd, right? If we were banning everything, then you could pigeonhole us as the woke crowd. The fact that we dutifully and seriously take each one on merit, most do stay, but some go.
Don't say gay. Don't play grab ass.
Yep.
It's official. Okay, well, we need a break. We need to rest up after that one. So let's go to commercial and we'll be back with Barrel or Not. FanDuel.com/surf. When the games tip off, the NBA action is just beginning on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because FanDuel is your home for NBA live betting and the official sports betting partner of the NBA. So even if you miss the first few minutes of the game or you want to bet on a fourth quarter comeback, you can make your picks from the first whistle until the final buzzer. Plus, you can even combine your bets into a same game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. However you want to play, Now is the perfect time to join. New FanDuel customers get started with $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit fanduel.com/surf to join today. That's fanduel.com/surf for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Must be 21 and older and present in select states, or 18 and older and present in DC. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-7777 in Connecticut or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. All right, we're back.
What is in this picture, the Andrew Tate picture?
Yeah.
Is the Jet Schilling in front there, the blonde kid? No. Who's that?
I don't know. I didn't identify any of those other kids. I wouldn't have known that was Jet Schilling.
I didn't know either. But one of those kids is doing something weird with their fingers in the photo. Is there like all kinds of
I have no clue. Do your Jet Schilling research. You can go over to his Instagram account and find out who he is. Man, what a incriminating photo.
Oof.
And Tate and his brother just look like they should look like. They look like the biggest douches in the world.
I mean, my goodness gracious.
Okay, so back from commercial, Liz from Portugal, who chimed in about Eskimo sisters a week or two ago. She wrote back in and said, "Hey guys, thanks for including my email in last week's show. I enjoyed listening to you break down and appreciate that you are open to different perspectives, particularly from female or women's listeners, regarding breakfast in bed. You were both spot on. It's one of those things that's fun to imagine in the most luxurious of settings. Imagine a fancy hotel room while on vacation, but completely inefficient and impractical in real life. Calling back to your previous discussion about efficiency, as a busy woman, I personally don't like to waste a shred of time during the day, and having breakfast in bed is just that, a waste of time spent eating and cleaning up that none of us can really afford. Plus, you have to consider that many women don't even eat breakfast because anymore we're too busy intermittent fasting. Coffee, water, supplements, that's the only thing I take before 11 a.m. That said, coffee in bed, especially when brought to you by your husband or partner and paired with a laptop to get started on your workday, total barrel. By the way, Chaz was on fire during this episode. His joke about becoming a, quote, hackman made me laugh out loud, and he is especially articulate and hilarious. The AG1 Afterglow is no joke. Work it. Sincerely yours, Liz.
Oh, thanks, Liz. And here's the thing though about that. Like ultimate waste of time is ultimate luxury, right? I mean, that's what the ultimate luxury is a giant production. The time is so wasted that it's like a production.
Yeah, that's true. By the way, she said your joke about becoming a hackman made her laugh out loud. Do you remember the joke?
No, did I say about embalming or something?
Maybe. I mean, I don't I don't remember the joke either. And that's what I was asking you for, is because we talk so much. I have a feeling some of it actually probably flies over my head, but also I cannot commit to memory 99% of it.
Nope.
So I love that she loved it, and I'm curious what the joke is now, but
Me
I don't
too.
remember it.
I'm going to go back in. I have zero idea. I'm going to go back in and find it myself.
I like that there's enough bangers to where we don't even remember them all. All right, barrel or nah. First one, wearing a scarf. Seems to be regionally acceptable or culturally maybe, but here in the South, it seems as awkward as an ascot in 2025. I love them and still go for it when the weather dictates, and people always comment on it favorably, which should make me feel more confident, but only increases my feeling of being outdated.
Huge barrel.
Okay.
Huge barrel in cold climates. Barrel in even I don't know, if you're feeling chilly, a scarf I feel can really pull together a look, right? I don't think it is one of those things that's ludicrous that it's like, oh man, look at that guy in his scarf, right? Like when it's chilly and you have a suit and a scarf, say, that is like a dapper look, right? I think a scarf sort of elevates any look. Uh, Huge barrel. It's
I
just,
agree. I'm a huge fan of the scarf. I don't get
yeah,
it. I don't get a chance often enough to wear a scarf,
yeah.
but I relish the opportunity and it really serves a purpose. Like aside from the look, I'm only wearing it because my neck might be cold, like moving from the car to the restaurant or the little bit of walking we're going to do tonight, your neck gets exposed. The reason I have a sweater right now is because I have a vent right here and Lauren turns the AC on, it blows straight on my neck. And it's like, I'm too warm to wear a sweater, but I need something covering my neck. So that does the job.
I will say as well, I know that what percentage of heat do they say goes out of the head?
I have no idea.
Oh, it's like you lose like some
80, a
90.
lot.
It's
Yeah.
a huge percentage of heat from your head, right? Which is why you wear a cap when you're outside and it's cold. But I feel whatever percentage has not gone through your head, it goes through your neck. Where I feel like on a 50-50 day, say it's 50 degrees right there. Say it's 50 degrees, 49 degrees. You can throw a scarf on and still wear a t-shirt and be perfectly comfortable because
Yeah.
you are maintaining enough neck heat, body heat through your neck, and then you have a t-shirt and a scarf. Great.
So yes, fully in for the cold weather scarf, but also the lightweight Turkish kind of towel
Yep.
style when you're in the heat and you can wrap it and cover your face,
Yep.
more effective than any hat in the world. And then if you douse the thing in water, cools you down. It's an
The
incredible implement.
the only thing I caution against is like getting your keffiyeh, your, Middle Eastern uh one, and then wearing it like backpackery style, where then you're doing it for a flex. Don't do that. Don't use your warm weather scarf as a flex.
Yeah, I don't know about that at all, but if you are in the sun, in the tropics, and you have that lightweight one,
It's great.
covering, it doesn't add any heat at all. Like covering
Yeah.
you entirely, it only protects you from the sun and brings you coolness, actually.
Yep.
So I'm all in. Big barrel.
All in.
Okay, barrel or non number two, coming off of your previous conversation about taking limos, putting up the window divider. So if you find yourself in a limo, I know we're no barrel on limos, but if you find yourself in a limo, is it acceptable to put that divider up?
I think absolutely. I think particularly in the limo, the understanding and exchange is that we are not friends. You are my servant at this point, right? I mean, that's
Chauffeur.
I'm yeah, sure, but a chauffeur is a brand of servant. And it is incumbent upon you to keep that dynamic. That's the whole point of it, is for that dynamic. And so hey bro, leaning forward, talking through the open space. Hey, how you doing, bros? Having a sick day. No, you get in, you say nothing, slowly put it up. Do your
I
work, servant.
so I'm gonna prevent the awkwardness by suggesting that just keep it up. Don't ever, it should never be down.
But
Like
sometimes you get in
maybe
it and it is down, right?
maybe
I
you
mean,
message the limo company in advance and you go, hey,
I want
one
partition up.
in my writer, if I'm gonna sign this contract to rent your limo, I need that partition up. I don't want to go through the awkward thing of having to put it up, make us feel
Yes.
weird. Just keep it up.
Yeah.
And don't ever put it down. If I need to talk
Yeah.
to the driver, I'll text him.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, cool. Divider up. Uh, Final barrel or not? I'm sorry, surfing a vintage surfboard. Hello, I am a fan of the podcast and longtime listener. I'm a Great Lakes surfer from Wisconsin. I've recently come across a vintage surfboard that is about 60 years old. The question is, barrel or not, surfing vintage surfboards. Go Packers, keep work, Xander.
Go Packers is right, Xander. Go Pack Go. And I'm going to say barrel because we've already established that using a surfboard as a wall hanging is no barrel. Using a surfboard as a stool is no banger or no barrel. Using a surfboard for anything other than surfing is no barrel, unless it's one of, whatever, a Duke Kamehameha board. But Other than that,
Kamehameha.
Duke, Duke, mixing up. Who did I mix up earlier? Oh, Thomas Herdy.
Tomas Herdy.
Uh, yeah, surfing
Yeah,
might as well.
100% surf it. Like there is no board that shouldn't be surfed. I don't believe in wall hangers,
Nope.
like
Especially
um
not this. This is not a wall hanger, right? Like he didn't like stumble upon, hey, guess what? Stumbled upon Tom Curran's, Black Beauty. The one he was riding, should I surf it? Then I think you could have a debate on, I would still say surf it. I would say surf
definitely
anything.
surf that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So my argument is, or my only argument why you wouldn't is like, is it a functional surfboard? Like maybe you just bought it because it was cheap and it was a relic and it's cool to have, but it's totally non-functional for your style of surfing or maybe the Great Lakes themselves. So in that case, maybe you don't end up surfing it, but that's just a practicality.
But why did you get it in the first place?
Because maybe it was underneath somebody's house being, unappreciated, let's
Yeah.
say. There was an old
But how are
lady who
you
didn't,
You
So
got to
I
surf
would,
it at least once. Even if you don't surf it right, you've got to take it out once.
all right, go for it. I'm fine with that too. I think there's certain boards for certain days, and in my quiver, I usually have a board that's good for that particular condition. And so the vintage board just might not make it into the rotation, but I still agree. There's some mojo there. You want to figure out what that board was about from 60 years ago, surf it. But
Go
it's
for it.
definitely not too precious to surf.
No, nothing is too precious to surf except for
Agreed.
Duke Kamehameha.
Exactly. And the hard work that went into that, the shaper, the laminator, all of that, they would be aghast at the idea of not surfing it.
Exactly.
They'd be like, dude, all this hard work was for it to be ridden.
It's what it was created for. What was I made for?
How do you feel knowing that there are dedicated Great Lakes surfers?
Wow. I mean, I doff my cap.
It still blows my mind.
Good on you. Yeah. But you see the pictures and it does get good every once in a while. Like you having to know both your weather tracking skills, your being on it at the right time. Because I think, don't those swells like come and go in like 30 minutes?
I think they can, yeah. I mean, it's just weather, right? It's just like
Yeah.
wind whips up waves, and yeah, it can be a very short window.
But man, I'll say some of the best surf, not best surf, but one of the most memorable surfs I've ever had was off Beirut. Like one of those, Mediterranean, and obviously Mediterranean is bigger than the Great Lakes, but some rando wind whip up and it was like peaky head high fun. Ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, I am also blown away when I watch some of that footage, and those guys are actually pretty good, and I'm like, if I take a week or two off, I am starting from scratch again.
Pretty bad.
Forget about a 5 mil wetsuit and like crappy waves. Those guys aren't surfing for probably months at a time, and then they're in a thick wetsuit and riding a vintage surfboard apparently, and still like kind of getting barreled and doing turns.
Yeah, no, good on you. Proud of you. Great Lakes surfers. Go pack.
Yep, totally agree. Hey, look, James from San Diego is coming in.
Great.
James from SD. That's even his moniker on Zoom. James, jump in.
Oh, there we go.
There you are.
James.
Wow. Can't believe it. I'm here.
I know.
You're
Yeah,
here.
we're just about to close out the grid. Do you have a thought? Should our fellow listener surf a 60-year-old vintage surfboard that he found, or should he keep it on ice?
Well, my dad has a few of those boards, and he does keep them on ice, but it is pretty cool to take it out and ride it and just realize how far surfboards have progressed in functionality.
So surf it.
I'd say surf it, don't take it out on like a big day, but if it's small, you're just looking to get some fun cruisy waves, then I'd say surf it.
We
Great
have
call.
all three barrel surf it.
Sweet.
All right. Well, James, you will be joining us on Patreon. This is the reminder to everybody. Go over to patreon.com/thegritsurfpod and join us there if you want to hear James's full combo.
Is it all one word? The Grit Surf Pod.
Yeah. Yeah. Patreon.com/ and then type that in. I'm sure you could just search it and find it. And then also for all of the people who have been supporting us all along through the Surf Splendor podcast subscription platform, you would have gotten an email 2 days ago or 3 days ago with a free access link to the Patreon content. So we'll put all the audio content on everywhere that you have subscribed to, but then also the video content will only be available on Patreon, and you should have a free link in your email already. So supporting you for supporting us there. All right, James, we will see you on Patreon. Chaz, I'll see you over there, and then on Noble Rot for everybody else on Monday. Until then.
Keep working.